Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
The Grenfell Inquiry has heard from many, from survivors to firefighters.
Saw the distress on the lady's face.
But after more than 3 years of evidence, today was the first appearance of the organisation ultimately responsible for all building regulations, the government. Speaking through a lawyer for the Department of Housing, they began with an apology.
The department is deeply sorry for its past failures in relation to the oversight of the system that regulated safety in the construction and refurbishment of high-rise buildings. It apologises to the bereaved residents and survivors of the fire for such failures.
The fire killed 72 people, and today the government admitted the building system that should have kept them safe failed.
The building safety regulatory system was not fit for purpose, and within the construction industry there was a race to the bottom, with profit being prioritised over safety.
One Grenfell survivor inside the inquiry wasn't impressed by the government saying sorry. They dismissed the apology as just words. What they really wanted to see 4.5 years after the tragedy was action.
This apology that
Karim Masilhi lost his uncle in the fire.
We now know that they have known about these deadly materials and the consequences of these deadly materials for decades. So this apology right now, I find it quite offensive. I mean, they're the government. They're the ones that make the rules. They write the rules. They're put in charge, elected by us, the taxpayer, to look after their people. And they failed.
This is cladding and it's highly flammable.
Ritu Saha is one of the hundreds of thousands of people trapped in the so-called cladding crisis. She's already spent £15,000 keeping her building safe, and the flammable material still hasn't been taken down.
Grenfell was 4.5 years ago, and it has taken that long for the government to give an apology for the regulations and the regulatory system that went wrong.
If the government is saying sorry, does that mean they should pay for their mistakes and not make you pay?
Yes, that is absolutely right. If the government is saying sorry and that they have made a mistake, then they should actually put their money where their mouth is and fix those mistakes. Those mistakes are theirs to fix now, not ours.
The Grenfell Inquiry will hear from its first government witness tomorrow. Martel, ITV News.
Well, Paul Afshar is from End Our Cladding Scandal. He lives in an unsellable flat still covered in cladding. Paul, just explain your situation to us, because you, like thousands of other Londoners, are now living with the knock-on effects, if you like, of what has been talked about over the last 2 days.
Well, that's exactly right, Duncan. And I, like hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of others, are living in a flat which is clad, unsellable and potentially dangerous as well. I am still waiting for our bill to come through, the inevitable bill that I think so many people up and down the UK are dreading the arrival of, which could well be in the tens to hundreds of thousands of pounds, and absolutely crushing financially. So many people have already gone bankrupt from the presence of dangerous cladding on their flat. The government today said sorry, and I think two of your previous guests have said, rightly so, that this is too little too late. But not only is it too little too late, we don't just want an apology, we want action. We want the government to pay for this. We want the developers to pay for this, not for ordinary leaseholders like myself and so many others up and down the country.
The picture painted over the last 2 days is of governments and industry failing to take action for decades, despite all of those warnings. So when the government says that it will accept its mistakes, errors and omissions, how much confidence do you have for them to actually make that good?
I'll believe you when I see it, and I don't mean that in a crass way. The government have put up less than a third of what Parliament has said will be required financially to tackle the cladding crisis in the UK. So we're talking about £15 billion here. When Michael Gove actually takes action, puts that cost on developers and on the government and stumps up £15 billion to make sure that no leaseholder has to pay for remedial work on their own building, then I'll believe it.